We can temporarily display only the information we're interested in Excel by using filters. Excel has autofilters, advanced filters, and a filter function. To make an autofilter, you can click anywhere within the dataset, or you can highlight the entire dataset, then go to the Data tab and click on the filter icon. Excel creates these drop-down arrows, which we use to apply our filter. Let's click on Category, and what if we only want to see rows with the employee category? We uncheck the Select All and just click Employee. Any box that's unchecked will have that row filtered out, so we can see that there are only 2 rows that fall within this category. The other rows have been filtered out, and we know that a filter has been applied in 2 ways. 1, the row numbers show blue on the side, and if we want to know what column was used to filter, here's a funnel showing that this is the column where the filter was applied. To clear a filter and redisplay all the data, we can go back to the filter dropdown and click on Select All, which will recheck all the boxes, or we can just deselect the filter icon, and we're seeing all our data again. The Auto Filter dropdown also allows options such as search and other advanced or custom filter fields. Sometimes it's useful because there are values that are similar, but they're not identical. So here we have property insurance and vehicle insurance. So we can use the search field by starting to type the word insurance. And we can see that there are 2 results. We can click OK, and then we can see the amount spent for vehicle insurance and property insurance. We can also use text filters to display more specific information. So let's reselect everything and go to text filters. And maybe we want to see cells that contain a certain number of characters or data that doesn't contain a word that we specify. So we can go to text filters that do not contain the word insurance. We hit OK, and now we filtered out all expenses that have the word insurance. So auto filters are pretty handy, but they do have a limitation. It's this. If you want to restrict data by more than one category, you run the risk of hiding some of the data that you'd like to be included when your first filter was applied. Here's an example. This sheet shows banking transactions from October 1 to October 8. If we wanted to get all the records that took place either on October 7th or were greater than $1,000, the auto filter can't do that. When we apply that October 7th filter, we've filtered out valid results that took place on another date. So Excel has an advanced filter feature which allows us to display cells which satisfy one criterion or another. So let's learn how to set up an advanced filter. Let's redisplay all the data, and we know that our filter will concern 2 columns, date and amount. The best thing to do when doing advanced filters is to copy all the headings and just place them somewhere else. Let's expand this column here. And now our filter conditions. So let's type October 7th here. Now these transactions took place in 2020, and because we're in 2021, the default here is 2021. So we want to change that to 2020. And the second filter that we want is to see amounts that are greater than $1,000. Since some values won't satisfy both conditions, that second condition should not be placed in the same row as October 7th. When we're using OR logic with an advanced filter, we want to place that in the next row. So it's going to be transactions greater than $1,000, and we place that below the amount column, but not in the same row as the first condition. And now, how do we apply these filter conditions? Well, we go to the Data tab and look at the Sort and Filter command group. Click on Advanced, and we can choose to either filter the list in place, which means that this list will be filtered, or we can copy it to another location within the same worksheet. Let's copy it to another location so we can compare our filtered list to our original list. The list range is highlighted here, A1 to C13, And the criteria range means where do we find the criteria that Excel should use? And it's going to be here, including the criteria headings. Where do we want this copied to? Where do we want to place our filtered list? Well, let's put it somewhere here. We don't need unique records only, because each transaction is unique. And now we click OK. Let's expand this column. And so this is our filtered list. And now Excel shows transactions that took place on October 7th or greater than $1,000. If we wanted to see rows which satisfy all criteria, then the conditions would be placed in the same row. So if we wanted to see transactions that took place on October 8th that were greater than $1,000, we only expect to see one transaction. So let's clear this filter. So we need October 8, transactions greater than $1,000, only transactions that satisfy both criteria. Advanced filter, copy to another location. We have the right range. And this is our criteria range, and we want it here. And only this transaction shows up. One drawback with advanced filters is that this filter isn't dynamic, so it has to be reapplied each time that we adjust our criteria, which we just did. Another limitation is that even though the advanced filter can be in a different location on the worksheet, it has to be on the same worksheet as the original dataset. Well, Microsoft 365 now has the filter function, which is dynamic, so it updates automatically when your data changes, and it does allow you to extract data to another worksheet. If you don't have Office 365, you can access the filter function through Excel on the web, like I have. The filter function has two required arguments and one optional. The array argument is the array or range to filter. The include argument is an array which is the same height or width as your original array, and that usually contains your criterion. The optional argument, if empty, is the value to return if the filter returns nothing. So in this example, we can extract the entries in the employee category by hard-coding the word employee as a text value within double quotes. But it's more effective to place that word in a cell and then make reference to that cell. So let's type the word employee, and you'll notice that we've copied the header names here. So let's jump right into our filter function. We start with the array, that's the original data set, and we're filtering using this array. We want it to be equal to the value in this cell, and if we get no results from our filter, then we'll return an empty string. So we type double quotes and close parenthesis. Excel extracts two rows that satisfy this condition. Notice that we only typed this formula once, but Excel spilled the values because this is what we selected for our array. The filter function can also take care of OR logic. So if we wanted to see expenses which were employee expenses or were greater than $2,000, we could type 2,000 in a cell. And then how would we adjust the formula? We want to add another criterion. So let's get this out of the way. So we add a plus sign, another parenthesis, and here's our new criterion. We want to see rows where C2 to C11 are greater than the value in G1. We close the parentheses here and hit enter. And let's expand this column. Now we have all the expenses that are employee expenses or are greater than $2,000. Finally, if we wanted to apply an AND logic, that is, if we wanted to see expenses that satisfy both criteria, then instead of using a plus sign, we'd use an asterisk. Only two expenses are both employee expenses and are greater than $2,000. As we mentioned before, the filter function is dynamic, so we can jump right in, change this value to 3,000, and it updates right away. There's no shortage of Excel's capabilities to extract exactly what we need by using one of its filter features. You've just learned a few of the ways that we can apply simple and complex filters to different types of data. How about checking out the full Excel course on GoSkills.com?
Ready to learn more about Microsoft Excel? Then check out the full course on GoSkills.com. Click the link in the description.